While we were at that place, that particular little hotel, the police came and picked us up because we hadn't told Saddam's people where we were, which was a problem for them. They wanted to be in control. And so we got taken in by the police, and we were deported the next day from the country. We had to drive out of Baghdad through the western desert on this highway that by that time had been bombed for 2 weeks. All you saw on the road was cars that were burnt out with their doors hanging open. It wasn't a hopeful sight. And so the drivers who were driving very fast. And as we drove in 3 cars, my wife Leah and I were in the front car. There was another car behind us, and both of our cars got to the Jordanian border and stopped and waited for the third car, and it didn't come. Some Somalians who we had met on the road, the only other people we had met on the road, we had to stop and get gas, and the gas station wasn't open. But these Somalians popped the battery out of their truck and hooked it up to the pumps and got them running. And I said, "How do you know how to do that?" They said, "We're from Somalia. We do this all the time." And so they come along, and they stopped, and they told us that they had seen our friend's car in the ditch about an hour back. And so we turned around and went back, and we found the car, but they weren't there. And we went to the closest town, this town called Rutba, and we found our friends there in Rutba. And they told us how when they had wrecked, they had hit something in the road, it had blown the tire. When they heard the explosion, they didn't know if they had been hit or if they had hit something, but they landed in this ditch, and 2 of them split their heads open on the windshield. So they're bleeding, and they're turned sideways, and they pulled them out of the car, and they're standing on the side of the road in the middle of the desert and don't know what to do. And this car of Iraqis stopped and took them into their car and drove them a couple miles to this town called Rutba. And when they got there, they found the doctor, and the doctor said to them in perfect English, "3 days ago, your country bombed our hospital, but we'll take care of you. Whether you're Iraqi or American, Christian or Muslim, we'll take care of you." And he sewed up their heads and saved their lives. And we were there with the doctor, and our friends were there, and they were all alive. And we thanked this guy, thanked him for helping us, and asked him, "What do we owe you for your service?" And he said, "You don't owe me anything." He said, "Please just tell the world what's happening here in Rutba." So we came back to the United States, telling that story everywhere we could. It wasn't a very popular story in the States at the time, but we told it. And the more we told it, the more we began to feel like it was the Good Samaritan story that we had had a chance to live. You know that story Jesus tells about the Samaritan who's supposed to be the enemy of the Jew, but saves him, stopped by the roadside and takes him out of the ditch. The good Iraqi, the good Muslim had become our Good Samaritan and had shown us what God's love looks like there in that village in Rutba. And so at the end of that story, Jesus tells, he says, "Go and do likewise." And we figured that's what we had to do.